Selling your house can be tricky if you have renters living in there now. Realtors suggest waiting until the renter's lease is up, but that might not always work for you. Renters might feel attached to the place and get worried when they find out that you're selling. This can make selling harder. They might be unhappy about moving, make it difficult to show the house, or even tell potential buyer not so good things about the property. They might not keep the house as clean and tidy as you'd like for showing either. Talking openly with your renters is key throughout the selling process. Explaining things clearly and keeping them updated will make them less likely to misunderstand and feel scared. Having renters in your property adds another layer of complexity to selling it. You'll need to advertise and show the house while also respecting your renters' rights and needs. In this episode, we'll discuss what happens when a property is sold with tenants living there, and we'll share 5 tips to help you sell your house smoothly, even with renters. So, can you sell a rental property with tenants? You can sell your rental properties even if you have tenants living there, but there are a few things to remember. Most importantly, you can't break your lease agreement with your tenants, and you need to be fair to them throughout the selling process. Here's a quick rundown of the good and bad things to consider before selling your property with tenants living in it. Here's some pros of selling a tenant-occupied property. It attracts investors. Selling with tenants can be a plus for buyers looking to rent out the property. The new owner gets income immediately without finding a new tenant. Also, the home is already staged. Having tenants with furniture can help sell the home. Potential buyers can imagine themselves living there, making the place more appealing. Some cons of selling a tenant-occupied property are tenants being unhappy. If your tenant isn't happy about the sale, it might be harder to show the house. They might not be flexible with scheduling viewings. Also, poorly maintained property. If you haven't inspected the property recently, there might be some wear and tear. This can be harder to advertise and might turn off buyers. So, you decided it's best to sell without a tenant. What are your choices? So the first one is month-to-month lease. Great news. To end the lease, just follow your state's rule and give your tenant proper notice. In some areas with rent control, selling might not be a good enough reason to kick out your tenants. Double check the laws. On long-term lease, this can be more tricky. You can ask your tenant if they'd be willing to break the lease early in exchange for some money. If they agree, you can either have them move out before selling to fix up the place, or sell the house with the tenant moving out after closing. Be careful though. There is a risk. If your tenant changes their mind and stay past closing, the new owner might have to evict them, and they could even blame you for the cost. Or you could wait it out. If timing allows, or talking to your tenant doesn't work out, you might have to wait until their lease ends before selling. Just let them know beforehand, following the lease instructions, that you plan to sell and won't be renewing the lease. What happens to an existing lease when a property is sold? If you sell a rental property with tenants living there, the renter agreement stays the same for the new owner. This means the rent price and how long the renter stays won't change unless everyone agrees to something different. The new owner has to follow the agreement and can't make the renters leave or raise the rent until the lease ends. However, if the renter wants to move out early, you can change the agreement together to reflect the new move-out date. This change is called a lease amendment, a legal document between you and the renter. Websites like Avail, I will include the link in the podcast description, offer free lease amendment template written by lawyers. All you need to do is fill out the renter's name, when the change starts, what part of the agreement changes, and get everyone's signatures. The website will then email the amendments to your renters so they can download it, sign it, and send it back to you for your signature. Once everyone signs, the change is official and legally binded. How to sell an occupied rental property. If you're selling a rental property with existing tenants, here are some tips that can help ensure a smooth selling process. First, be transparent with your buyers. Honesty is key. Tell potential buyers right away that the property has tenants living there. Mention this in the listing description. To make the sale more accessible, also share details about the current lease agreement with the buyer. This includes things like how long the lease lasts and the rent amount. Let the buyers know if you use any softwares to manage the property. Next, communicate with your tenants. Talk to your tenants early if you plan to sell the property. Please give them a heads up and explain the selling process in general terms. This way, they have time to decide what to do next. Once you find a buyer, they can also help keep things smooth for your tenants. The new owners can send a welcome letter introducing themselves, sharing their contact information, and mentioning any upcoming changes they might have planned. Third, make showing time convenient. By law, tenants typically need at least a day's notice. Check your local law for the exact amount before someone can look at the property. This heads up gives them time to tidy up the place, which can make a good impression on buyers. Be nice to your tenants when scheduling showings. If you know they work from home some days, try not to schedule tours during those times. Next, make sure the property is in good condition. The way your property looks can make a big difference when selling. If things are broken or dirty, buyers might back out. Here's an alternative I always tell my clients. The way your property looks can make a big difference when selling. If things are broken or dirty, buyers might back out. To make things easier, you can hire cleaning or yard work services. This can be more reliable than asking your tenant to clean. And lastly, ensure there are no lease violations. If your tenant stays after you sell your property, ensure any lease violations are resolved before your sale is finalized. This includes collecting any overdue rent payments, since a delinquent tenant can affect the outcome of your sale. Selling a house with tenants doesn't have to be a headache. You can navigate the process smoothly by being transparent and considerate and following some practical do's and don'ts. Remember, a bit of upfront effort can lead to a win-win for everyone involved. Need help or guidance on getting started? Don't hesitate to contact me. I can always make time to help you navigate the process smoothly. If you found this episode helpful and want to continue learning and staying updated on all things real estate, we invite you to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. By subscribing to our show, you'll never miss an episode packed with valuable insights, expert interviews, and practical tips to guide you through your real estate journey. Also, I love hearing from our listeners. If you have any questions, comments, topic suggestions, or real estate stories to share, please reach out to us. You can follow me on my social media pages. Just search for Nong's Real Estate, local realtor in Las Vegas and Henderson, Nevada. I will also save the links in the description of this video. Until then, remember, in Las Vegas and Henderson, the odds are always in your favor when you have the right real estate agent by your side. Thank you for joining us today. See you next week.